Just like all of the other videos, all the other projects you have done in SketchUp, you need to create a new file or a new project. Take your cursor to these three lines here, go down to where it says New Model, then you want to come down to the Simple Template Millimeters. That makes sure you're working in millimeters and not inches or centimeters. You then need to name your file. Come up to where it says Untitled, click there, and you want to name it your first name, 3D Puzzle. Once you've done that, click the OK button and it will take you to your Google Drive. In Google Drive you'll have less folders than me. Again, you will pick the Classroom folder just like the previous project. Click on the folder. Again, yours will say Classroom, and then click the Select button. It'll take a little while for it to load, and you have your new project to start. Remember, we need to get rid of Mr. Cowboy, and we need to zoom in on the intersection where the lines cross, or the origin point. We need to zoom in on that point quite a bit. We zoom in using the scroll wheel on the mouse. I'll then draw my first line. I'm not telling you how long the line is, you need to figure that out from the project document. Please read the project document. Now I've zoomed in too far. I zoom out a little bit, I can see my end point. Here's my line. Once we've created our first block using the measurements in our project document, we need to put our name on it. We'll use the text just like before, but this time when we're doing the text, we'll keep the height at 5, but we want the extrusion to be 0. We'll then write our name. We need to I want you to use this Oswald font, and I'd like you to make sure you go to bold. So it should be Oswald and bold, 5 millimeters, text fill 0 millimeters, and then press OK. As you can see, my name is there. If I bring it along, I want to put it on this face of my first block. As you can see, it doesn't fit on there, but it doesn't matter. I just want to make sure my cursor says on the face, so I'm putting it on the face there. I'm going to rotate that. So I come back over here and I go to my rotate tool. I can click somewhere on here. Let's pick that point. Picking the corner of my name. I come out. See how it's green? I bring my cursor out and the line is red. I click, I drag that around until that line turns blue. When it's blue, it's straight up and down. I can either turn it till it's blue, or I can just type 90 on the keyboard and press enter. That rotates at 90 degrees. I then want to move my name. So I go to that move tool and I'll move it from there straight down. Once I have my name on the block, I want to scale. Once I have my name on the block, I want to scale it up, just like we scaled before, but this time we don't want to go all the way to the end, and we can just grab these and pull it up, but we want to stay a couple of mil in from each end and from each side. We don't want to take our name all the way to the edge, because that will cause a problem later on. So we just want to go that far, and once we've done that, we can click out somewhere else and we can see my name. Once we have our name, we need to have our name indented. To do that, we click on our name, right click, and we want to go explode. I'll press explode, and it explodes our name. Now when I exploded my name, it deleted the inside face. I need to put that face back on. See how you can see inside my block? I need to put that face back on. I can do that simply by drawing a line across the box where it's not going to interfere with my text. I need to make sure I go to from edge to edge on this face, so it will make this face. If I go back there, it won't work. I need to go there and see how it closes up that face. However, I still have a problem in the middle of my R, so I need to draw a line across the middle of my R. There we go. That has been fixed, and now I can actually delete those lines that I just drew. There we go. Sometimes when you've done your name, you might see that some of the letters are different colors. What that happened is it's reversed the face, so the inside is outside the block and the outside is inside the block. We need to swap those around. So if you click on the part that's blue, then right click and you go down to where it says reverse faces. If I click on that, it will turn it back to the same color as the rest of that face. Come up to my S, I click on the S, I right click on it, I go reverse faces, and it turns it back. Now all of the faces are the same, and I have my name on it, but the name needs to be pushed in. You use the push pull tool, and you can click on one of the letters, push it in. You only want to push it in 1 millimeter, no more. Do that to the rest of your name. Once you've completed your first block, first piece of the puzzle, and you have your name and you've pushed it in 1 millimeter, we're going to turn this into a component. To turn it into a component, we draw a box around it by using our select tool. We'll click and drag so the box is around, and then let go, and that selects the whole block. And we're going to create a component, so we right click on it once it's blue and we go make component. We're going to call this component no cutouts, and we'll go OK. Now this is a single component. If I click anywhere on it, it selects the whole thing turns blue. If I click off it, it turns back to black. And what that does, these tools over this side, that one's entering info, this one's instructor, this one is components. So if I go into components, I'll come up to home or in model, you will see the components that I have in this block. If you double click on the component here, no cutouts, if I double click that, then move my mouse, you can see I have another one of those components, and I can put several of them all down, and now I have 4 of those blocks. However, I do not need 4, I only want 1 more. And what I'm going to do with this component is I'm going to click on it to select it, right click on it, and then I'm going to explode that component. So it's no longer a component. If I click on it, it no longer gets fully selected like before. See, this one is still a component, this one is not. However, I'm going to turn it into a different component. So I draw my box back around that component, that block, I right click on it and I go make component. So I exploded the component, now I'm making it into a different component, and I'm going to call it 2 cutouts. And I've called it 2 cutouts. And I click OK, and there we go. That is now a new component, and as you can see, it has now appeared in our components list. And I can put 3 of those down. Now, one of the great things about components is when you change one of those, if you edit a component, all of the other of those same components will change. If I select this one and right click on it and I go edit component, when I change this, these other two will change, but this one will not. This one won't change because this is a no cutout component. These 3 are all the 2 cutout components. So if I make a change to one of them, and I'm going to put some guide points on here. I put some guide points and then I draw a line, go from that guide point to that guide point. What you can see is these 2 have also got that line, but this one doesn't. If I come back over, I'll draw another line. And you see, as soon as I drew this line here, this one appeared. If I go back, that one disappears. As soon as I click that guide point, over here, there will be a line appear over there. And click, and it appears. You can do this for the 2 cutouts, and then explode it. Once you've done all your 2 cutouts, you could explode it and then edit it, create a 3 cutout component and edit that to be a 3 cutout. Sometimes when you do your cutouts, you might end up with a face like this that's a different color to the other faces. What's happened is, again, just like the text, that face is reversed, and we reverse it back the same way. We click on it, we right click on it, and we go down to reverse faces. Please check that all of the faces on your block are the right color. Once you have the 3 pieces to your puzzle as components, the no cutout block, the 2 cutout block, and the 3 cutout block, you can lay them all down so you have the right number of each of those pieces. You then need to sort them, lay them out for printing. Best to do this using the tape measure 2 tool to give you a guide point. I would like them about 2 millimeters apart, so I put a guide point down here at 2 millimeters. I no longer need that open. I can then select one of my components. I go to the move tool and I move it from that corner there into my guide point. It says guide point, and I can click and I know it's on that guide point. Now, one of the requirements is for all of the lettering or your name to be on the outside. To do that, you may need to rotate a block. So I'm going to click on this block here. I'm going to go to my rotate tool and I'll put my cursor on top of the block. I can then go out, make sure that line is red, come around until it turns blue, or green in this case, sorry. I want it to turn green, or I can just type 90 degrees and it will rotate at 90 degrees. That way when I move that one into position, the name will be pointing outwards. You need to do this for all of your blocks. You need to rotate them so the name will be pointing out. I put my guide point down so that I can move this block. I go back to my move tool and I move that to the guide point and I click and now it is on the guide point. You need to rotate your blocks accordingly and move them into position using the guide points to make sure you have a nice even block.